Betrayal doesn't knock, it slides quietly into your life. I thought my wife Charlotte was at a company party, sipping cocktails, smiling for cameras. What I didn't know was that she was already telling people our marriage was over. By the time I learned the truth, she had traded 16 years of life for a stranger's promises, and what I uncovered after that would change everything. Before we continue, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss the rest of this unbelievable story. My name is Dalton Pierce. I'm 44, an IT consultant living in suburban Denver with my 12-year-old son, Elijah. On paper, we had the American dream: nice house, good schools, steady savings, movie nights. But cracks were spreading. Charlotte began working late, making urgent calls, and laughing less with me, more with others. I convinced myself it was normal, just a phase. The night of her office holiday party, she looked stunning in a black dress. I kissed her cheek, told her she deserved to have fun, and stayed home. What I didn't know was that at that party, she laughed with another man and declared to co-workers she was already free of me. The next morning, I woke at 6:30, same as always. The bed beside me was cold. I assumed she stayed at Sarah's place like she had before. I made coffee, packed Elijah's lunch, and drove him to school. At 8:45, the door creaked open. Charlotte stepped in, wearing the same dress from the night before, makeup smeared, heels dangling from her hand. She froze when she saw me. "You're up early," she said. "Same time as always," I replied, watching her carefully. Something about her was different, not guilt, but hardness. She poured coffee, claiming she'd slept on Sarah's couch. But Sarah lived 15 minutes away, not 45. When I mentioned Rick, Sarah's husband, had called me that morning, Charlotte's hand faltered. Her story cracked. Finally, she turned, her voice icy. "Dalton, we need to talk." I braced for excuses. Instead, she said, "I can't do this anymore." No apology. No regret, just words sharp enough to cut. I asked what she meant, and she said she couldn't keep pretending, that our family, our home, wasn't enough. Her voice grew stronger, as if rehearsed. Then she smiled, and that smile told me she had left me long before she walked through that door. Her smile faded when she saw I wasn't begging. I opened the security app on my phone. "What are you doing?" she snapped. "Checking the garage camera. Seeing when you got home." Her car had pulled in at 3:47 a.m. Her face went pale. "You're spying on me," she said. "No, I'm protecting my family." Then she laughed, cold and bitter. "Fine, I was with someone who actually sees me." The words landed like a punch, but I stayed calm. "Who?" I asked. "Kieran Mills, divorced, no kids. He makes me feel alive." She said his name like a prize. My mind clicked through the pieces: our distracted anniversary dinner, the fake weekend trip, the late-night calls. It wasn't one night. "It was 6 months, Charlotte," I said, setting my mug down carefully. "This isn't about winning you back. It's about protecting Elijah while we end this marriage." For the first time, she looked shocked. She hadn't expected me to refuse to fight for her. I stood, dumping my coffee into the sink. "Pack a bag. Stay wherever you want. This is over." She stared silent. Maybe she thought I'd grovel. Instead, I walked upstairs, already planning my next move. At 3:15, Elijah dropped his backpack and went straight for the kitchen. I had apple slices and peanut butter waiting. He glanced around. "Dad, where's Mom's car?" I forced calm. "She's staying with a friend." He studied me. "Are you getting divorced?" His question hit harder than her confession. I sat him at the table, where we'd done homework and built model planes. "Your mom and I have problems we can't fix, but we both love you. That never changes." He asked if she was coming back. I told him no, but he'd still see her. He nodded slowly. "Tommy's parents got divorced. He said it feels weird, then you get used to it." Then Elijah frowned. Mom's been different, angry, even when she smiled. He had seen what I ignored. He asked, "Did she do something bad?" I answered carefully. "She made choices that hurt us, but that's between her and me, not you." Relief crossed his face. Then, almost casually, he asked, "Can I still play baseball this spring?" I smiled. "Of course." Nothing changes except where Mom lives. That night I called my brother Jake in Phoenix. He was blunt. She cheated 6 months, confessed like it was nothing. Don't let her spin this. She broke the vows. Jake was right. But I knew Elijah's world was only beginning to change. 3 days later, my phone rang. A woman's voice. Is this Dalton Pierce? My name is Ivy Nash. We need to meet. It's about your wife and my brother. Her brother was Kieran Mills. The next day, at Riverside Park, Ivy handed me a manila envelope. These are from his phone. They go back 7 months. Inside were screenshots of texts between Kieran and Charlotte. It wasn't just cheating, it was strategy. She had been transferring money, documenting arguments, framing me as abusive. One message made my blood run cold. Dalton has no idea about the retirement transfers. By the time he does, I'll be gone. How much? I asked. At least 40,000. Maybe more, Ivy said. She told me Kieran's pattern, convincing wives to leave, draining them, then vanishing. Charlotte thinks she's different. She's not. That night I checked our accounts. Dozens of small transfers, labeled tutoring, medical bills, car repairs. I added them up, $63,000. I called my lawyer, Patricia Hendris. She stole 63 grand. Patricia's voice was steel. With proof of fraud, this changes everything. Send me everything now. Monday, I'll file emergency custody and asset freeze. I hung up, staring at the wall. 16 years of loyalty, dismantled piece by piece. The call from Elijah's school came mid-morning. Mr. Pierce, he was in a fight. I rushed over. Elijah sat outside the principal's office with a split lip. Across from him, Derek cried into his mom's arms. I knelt. What happened? Elijah's jaw clenched. Derek said Mom's sleeping around. Then he said, you're a loser. I told him to take it back. He laughed. Inside, Derek's mother demanded suspension. Principal Morrison explained witnesses saw Derek taunting Elijah. That doesn't excuse hitting, but it explains it, she said. I looked at Derek's mom. Maybe teach your son gossip isn't playground talk. Her face twisted. Maybe if you controlled your wife, this wouldn't happen. Elijah's fists tightened. I stayed calm. My personal life isn't middle school gossip. My son won't be shamed. Elijah glared at Derek. I'm sorry I hit you, but I'm not sorry for defending my dad. That night I told him, you can't fight everyone. He whispered, so it's true. Mom cheated, I nodded. Yes, but that doesn't define us. He asked if we'd be okay. I promised we would. Weeks later in court, Patricia laid out the evidence. $63,000 stolen, texts proving deception. Charlotte's lawyer spun it as self-preservation. The judge wasn't convinced. During recess, Charlotte sobbed. Kieran's gone. He took $28,000 from me too. I looked at her coldly. No, Charlotte. You threw everything away. That afternoon, the judge awarded me full custody. Charlotte lost everything. 8 months later, Elijah and I lived in a smaller apartment. It wasn't fancy, but it felt like home. I'd taken a promotion, rebuilt savings, and created a new rhythm. Dinners, baseball, late-night talks. One evening, Elijah said quietly, I saw Mom. She asked if I was mad. I asked what he told her. I said I wasn't mad, just disappointed. Then he looked at me, wiser than his years. For a while, I thought maybe if I'd been a better son, she wouldn't have left. But now I know it wasn't about me. It was about her. I pulled him close. Exactly. Adult problems belong to adults. Later that week, Sarah Mitchell, his teacher, stopped by for coffee. She was kind, steady, nothing like Charlotte's chaos. When she left, Elijah grinned. She likes you, Dad. She laughs at your dumb jokes. I laughed. Maybe he was right. That night, Elijah asked, do you think you'll get married again? I told him maybe if I found the right person. He nodded. I'm glad Mom left. We're happier now. His words stunned me with their truth. I sat by his bed. Sometimes the worst thing becomes the best. It just takes time to see it. He smiled. Like Mom leaving made space for better people. As I turned off his light, I realized, for the first time in years, I was genuinely happy. Life after the court ruling settled into routine, but Charlotte wasn't done trying to disrupt it. 2 months later, she showed up at Elijah's baseball game unannounced. She wasn't scheduled for visitation that day, and when Elijah saw her near the bleachers, he froze mid-swing. I approached calmly. "Charlotte, this isn't your time," I said firmly. She looked worn down, hair messy, eyes hollow. "I just wanted to see my son," she pleaded. Elijah stood awkwardly, glancing between us. I put a hand on his shoulder. "You'll see him Saturday." "Today is about his team," Charlotte's face hardened. "You've turned him against me," she snapped. My jaw tightened. "No, Charlotte, you did that yourself." She stormed off, leaving Elijah shaken. That night, he asked, Dad, why does she keep showing up when she's not supposed to?" I sighed, "Because she doesn't like following rules." "But you don't need to worry about that. I'll handle it." His nod was slow, uncertain. Later, I emailed Patricia, and she filed for stricter visitation enforcement. Charlotte was unraveling, desperate to claw back the control she'd lost. But every time she tried, she only pushed Elijah further away. By the following spring, Elijah had grown taller, stronger, both on the baseball field and in spirit. He rarely asked about his mom anymore, though sometimes I caught him staring at old photos. One evening, after practice, he surprised me with a question. "Dad, do you ever miss her?" The honesty in his eyes stopped me cold. I thought about it carefully. "I miss who I thought she was, not who she became." Elijah nodded, slowly processing. "I think I get that," he said. Later that week, Sarah stopped by with dinner. We sat on the porch while Elijah played catch with a neighbor. She smiled at me. "You've built something solid again, Dalton." "Not perfect, but real." I realized she was right. My life wasn't about repairing Charlotte's damage anymore. It was about creating something new. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Elijah called from the yard. "Dad, come play!" I joined him, laughing, feeling lighter than I had in years. For the first time since Charlotte's betrayal, I didn't just feel like I was surviving. I felt like I was living again.